Welcome to WD18 with myself, Jacob Coleshaw, Charlie Zazera, and a very special guest. We actually recorded this video on Friday night in the Mad Squirrel. Shout out to the Mad Squirrel, obviously sponsors, long-term friends of the channel, as well as Hertfordshire Minds. But we recorded this on Friday. It was supposed to be a post-match pint. It's turned into a Sunday night stream. So whichever way you look at it, hopefully you're the winner. Jack Davis joined us on the show today. Jack, how are you, my friend? It's lovely to see you once again. Not a couple of pints deep, but still in the weekend is always a pleasure. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good. Good weekend, good results. I enjoy, if we win on a Friday, then the next 2 days are absolute bliss, and obviously international break as well. So you're not going to see me stop smiling for the next 2 weeks.
Jack, we had a good night out, didn't we, as well, afterwards?
It was good. I'm really glad that you came, because there was a bit of hesitation on your part after we finished recording, and I was like, oh no, he's never going to come. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was amazing. Right, very good night.
Just came out the tunnel into Slug and Lettuce, and then it quickly progressed onto Pop World. Not my sort of usual establishment to go out in, but nonetheless did hit the spot. Charlie, how are you on this Sunday evening?
Yeah, a bit sad that I didn't follow you lot in Pop World to see the scenes, but no, the old man went to bed early, had some toast before. Good weekend, good result on the Riverside on Saturday. It's been like Jack said, when I don't know about Friday nights, but when Watford win afterwards, that relief, and you can just sit back and chill the weekend. So it's been enjoyable.
It has been enjoyable. We did finish, obviously, on Friday night. Watford won, Oxford United 0. We'll get straight into it on today's show, covering everything from lineup, first half, second half, that change in Watford performance, standout performers, and then obviously looking at this result in the context of the season. Thanks so much to everyone who's watching live at this moment in time. Please do leave a like on the video, subscribe to WD18, comment down below your thoughts. And also, if you're listening to this on audio, do us a favour and drop us a 5-star review. It does really mean a lot and goes a long way into promoting the channel. Okay. We've had someone from JT Burns saying he's watching from Connecticut in the USA, which is huge. Do you know what? I'm going to give Jack the honour of, just before we get into anything, that result on Friday, Jack. It was before everyone kicked off. We started the evening in 7th. We ended it in 4th. I think we're still waiting on a couple of results, but that now leaves Watford, in terms of the championship table, in 6th position, so in the playoffs on 25 points. How big was the result on Friday night? Was it just a case of getting the job done by any means and by any how?
Yeah, big part of it, especially bouncing back from the loss in midweek. And it's a massive shame, actually, because say we were able to even get a point out of that Swansea game, you felt like really could have gone up against the newly promoted side and, really given them a battering. But I didn't think they were that bad, to be honest. Good performance. Big change first half to second half, as you said, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. But I think bigger picture is this home form is phenomenal, and our fans are enjoying coming to Vicarage Road and watching us play. All depends now on what's the away form going to look like, how quickly our injury is going to kind of heal up as we hit that busy Christmas period. But all in all, really happy with it.
Yeah, and Tom Cleverley said a very similar note, actually, Charlie, post-match with Emma Saunders. Obviously, Emma do really, really well on Sky Sports at the moment, Watford fan, most importantly, as well. And she asked the question about what's changed this season. And I think that's now 13 wins at home in all competitions for Watford, 11 in the league. So is just keeping that run going and just finding a way, similar to what Jack said, was the most important thing on Friday.
Yeah, I think it's, what is it? Is it 13 unbeaten under Clevs, two in the cup and 11 in the league, which is an incredible record since he's come in for his first managerial job. Like me and Dave were having the chat before, like, when can you call it a fortress? And I was like, I still don't feel like Vicarage Road is a fortress. I feel like you have to get to like at least 20 games, but we've created something special there. Like, the fans have got that connection back with the team, which I think is so important, because especially the back end of the Premier League years and the last 2 seasons in the Championship, it's not been good at all. I feel like it was a classic Watford performance this season. Slow start, keeping it tight, and then second half coming out of the blocks and doing it in the vital moments. So, yeah, good stuff. Good to get that win under lights and keep that unbeaten run under Clevs.
Do you know what? Let's go through the lineup to start with from Watford Oxford on Friday night. We look at the lineup here. Sorry if there's a bit of background noise. I don't know if that's coming through on the stream. I I don't know what it is, to be honest. They might just be.
We love technical issues.
I know. Where it's coming from. It's probably a ghost or something. Joy, here we go. We'll share it on screen. Here was the lineup for Watford Oxford. So Daniel Batman started in goal. A back three. We've moved back to the back three after the Swansea game of Porteous, Pollock, and Morris. Ebosele at left wing back with Ryan Andrews at right wing back. Loser and Kiembe as the midfield two, with Chakvetadze, Bar, and Bio leading the line. Jack, on paper, is that one of the more balanced lineups we've seen so far this season? I think we mentioned a couple of times on WD18 that we felt that Cleverley was maybe searching for his best team. But when I look at that on screen now, that does look like a solid Watford team on both flanks, particularly as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's got what you'd want defensively. Obviously, what you're getting with Porteous. Slightly building a China shop at times, but actually, I think he's been pretty immense for us this season. I actually thought that Morris was a little bit hard done by to not have more of a look in after a really good performance away at Leeds. I thought he played really well there, and another good performance last night as well. The interesting thing is, obviously, Clev shifted to the back four. Was it a Wednesday? And we went and pasted them. And I can't remember if he went to the back five or not at Swansea. But at home, I think that's definitely the formation and the style, although it wasn't necessarily as clear in the first half. Second half, blindingly obvious what we were trying to do, and I thought we executed it pretty well.
Couple of decisions I wanted to pick out, though, Charlie. Ebosele as a left wing back is interesting to start with. I like James Morris at left centre back. I know some people, because he's not the tallest of centre backs, and he's a converted centre back, isn't he? A left back come playing a left centre back, but what he gives us on the ball, I think, is really, really important. Is the thing I wanted to pick up on, though, because his performance, again, he was rewarded with that long-term contract, which we'll get onto. But him as that central centre back, I really like, Charlie, because I think he'd even admit himself, Matty, that he's not the quickest of centre backs, but he just seems to really be able to marshal the defence, win everything in the air. That balance of the back three is in a really nice spot now.
Yeah, I thought he was absolutely superb, and there was a big worry in the first half when he went down holding his knee, and you think if Pollock gets injured, it would be a huge blow. But after that, I just thought he was imperious, winning kind of basically nearly every header. I think it was 10 out of 14 aerial duels, which he's done all season. He just seems really calm on the ball as well, which is maybe, I think that's why the back three kind of suits all of our defenders, really. The fact that we can get bodies around us and we're not in big oceans of space. But I think he's suited to the back three. He was winning tackles as usual, interceptions, and good on the ball. But when Ogbonna maybe comes back, who do you think should be that central defender? Do you think Pollock, that's his best position? Or because I think he can play a role either the left side or the right side, and I think Ogbonna's a bit more suited to it. That's probably best to the team.
Yeah, Jack, where do you stand on that? Because I think Ogbonna, because he's not particularly quick either, you can't play him as the left centre back, and if he's going to be sent down the channels, then he's going to be in trouble. But and Pollock's solid at right centre back. It just feels like Matty, though, in that central centre back where he can marshal. You see him all the time communicating. It just makes a lot of sense for him to be in that position. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't think I'd replace him anytime soon. I mean, he's such a natural leader, as you guys have said, and it's more than if it's not broke. If it's broke, not broke, don't fix it. He has this incredible ability to almost pull people in around him. You can see set pieces, and I think Robbo coming in you're starting to see his influence pretty clearly now. Ogbonna coming back, I don't think I'd move Pollock for now. And then potentially, if we decide that the 5-back isn't for us anymore, and we go to the 4 and you have them as the 2. I mean, there's so many variations with it. But as we know, long season, busy Christmas period coming up. I question whether actually rotation is something that we will start to look at, because at the moment he's probably played some of the most minutes this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, for sure. Just a couple of other players. One to mention as well, Charlie. Imran Loser back into the team. It's been a while since he started a football match for Watford. He came off the bench against Swansea in the week. He started alongside Eddie Kiembe, but I have to admit, when I saw it on paper, I was a little bit worried because I felt like they're both quite forward-minded players. And whilst Loser's shown in the 6 he's effective, when you have a 2-man midfield, the balance has to be right. And it maybe in the first half, Charlie, it wasn't as good as it was in the second, but he was someone who came in and hit the ground running as well.
Yeah, you're right. When I saw that lineup of him and Kiembe as a double pivot, I thought we could be in for a bit of trouble here, especially out of possession. But when I watched the clips back today, especially in the second half, I thought Loser was pretty good, a lot better than I thought on the night. He was dropping in really deep positions and playing as like that 6, collecting it off the defence and trying to play some really nice balls. There's actually some slides that I wanted to kind of show from Loser before we talk about another man. But this was a really nice move that I thought. You can see Ryan getting it really deep and playing a really good line breaking pass through here. And then it gets to Loser and he plays an absolutely delicious pass all the way through here. And you can kind of see Ebesele just at the top of the screen there, kind of that cleverly what he wants from his fullbacks to get into positions. But it was an outstanding pass from Loser, and Ebesele there should have done a lot better. But yeah, it was really promising to see Loser have a decent second half. I still worry, like we saw Duomo come in for him at kind of Leeds and Sheffield Wednesday. So that says a lot to me. And I do have my kind of worries about Loser coming in, especially in away games. But like I said, with Tom Dele and Sissoko out, we're going to need people to come in. And if he can come in and build that confidence up, he can be like a real asset and really help us this season.
Jack, talk to me about that first half. Because I think Cleverly said that he felt it was a little bit slow. He was a big fan of the second half performance, which we'll touch on. But he said it was an understandably flat performance in the first half, probably from both teams, with it being such a demanding week in terms of fixtures. Watford have had 3 games in a week, and that includes 2 long away trips, one to Sheffield, coming back to Watford, to then go all the way to Swansea as well. Firstly, did you expect that maybe level of performance in the first half? Not that it was bad, it just probably lacked a bit of tempo. And number 2, what changed from the first half to the second half, in your opinion?
So, agree with everything you said in terms of potential reasons as to why we were slightly slow to start. And we've seen it quite a lot this season, that we've been slow to come out the blocks. We conceded loads of early goals. I think actually one of our bigger problems on Friday night was that, and I was sat there thinking about this, if you're an Oxford side coming to an unbeaten Watford at Vicarage Road, what are you going to do when you know that you're probably not going to match them in terms of quality to put them off their rhythm? And it's be up in their faces, be rough, be physical. And that's exactly what they were. And I think they probably played into the fact that the referee, it was the opposite. He let everything go, which normally you want to see as fans. You want the game to flow as much as you can, but you're sat there thinking, hang on, someone could actually get injured here and he's still not going to blow up. So I think that was something that we didn't necessarily adapt to quickly enough. And we hear a lot of chat from clubs about processes, and maybe, it's just taking a little bit more time than we'd want as fans for us to understand those processes relative to what our opposition are trying to do. But second half, it felt like a completely different game. We were a lot stronger on the ball. I thought that, some of the balls, good start when Loser plays Ebesele through, should have scored. But as a side, we want to be getting Bar and Chakvetadze on the ball as much as possible, running at defenders, trying to catch them on the break and getting it into the crow in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a really, really nice comment just in the live chat from name redacted. I don't think that's your name, but I'm sure you'd like me to mention it. My dad has been a Watford fan since the 1940s. Although his age, he managed to make Friday night's game for the first time in a long time. I'm just made up he saw a win. He thought Giorgi was class too. Absolutely. And really, really nice comment. Probably one of the best we've had on the channel, let alone this season. Rio says just on Loser was very good second half, showed some brilliant creativity, including some great passes to break the lines. Hopefully he's back to his best. Pre-Millwall Loser was a cheat code in the Championship. Jack, you said that, didn't we, when we did the post-match point? You can't mention Imran Loser without talking about Millwall away. And the floor is yours, because he's a fascinating one. Probably not the player for every game, but as Charlie says, he does have real quality, particularly with his passing.
He's the last person on the team sheet to go and play at Kenilworth Road for me. However, at home, and maybe under the lights as well, I don't know what it is, but he's so classy, and we've seen that class. And yeah, as you said, Millwall, clearly that injury has massively affected him. But I really hope, it feels like he wants to play for us now, whereas I've definitely felt that over the last couple of seasons he kind of prances about and doesn't really look that interested. And did you guys see when they came in after the match, coming through the tunnel, his celebration? Like, you can see what it means to him. He put in a proper shift, contributed towards the win, and that whole team mentality, and playing for the manager, playing for the badge. I really hope that Clevs, and I think it will be Clevs, is going to get the best out of him.
cracking social content, by the way. Shout out to the team at Watford. I mean, that's so simple, Charlie. As a man who watches the socials, you enjoying that content?
Yeah, good stuff. I'm loving the addition of Robbo now coming in the tunnel, getting his reaction to the win. And it's interesting, Jack mentioned him on Friday and he's mentioned him again tonight. Jack, do you think there's anything specifically Robbo's done to kind of improve it, whether it's defensively, or do you just think his personality could have kind of had a positive impact on the team?
I think it's a bit of both. A big thing in the Championship is being nasty to play against. And I think at times earlier in the season, away from home, we were so easy to score against. Organisationally, we looked a mess. I think specifically games like at Norwich, where we just looked all over the place. And I think having someone coming in that obviously knows the club, adored by the fans, I mean, he's got pretty good coaching pedigree as well. So I'm hoping that that's going to continue, but it definitely seems like that was a good shout. Good shout from Clebs and the management above.
Yeah, because they've been tinkering with the coaching team. Obviously, Armand Kavaya was at the club. He's moved on. Xavi Pereira was brought back in from Slav's team. He's moved on. And they've landed on Robbo. And I actually messaged Robbo just after the game because obviously he shared his reaction. And he was just saying how happy he is at the moment, but also the fact that everyone's really welcomed him back to Watford. Honestly, I don't think you speak to any Watford fan who is, apart from happy that Robbo has come back to the football club, because it's a legend, but also, as Jack says, a guy of real pedigree, particularly in the Championship when it comes to coaching. From first half to second half, Charlie, I said to Jack about what changed for you in the Watford performance before we touch on the goal, and then obviously individuals as well.
I think it was the intent. I think they've just seen that energy and that ambition to want to go forward quicker. And that was kind of epitomised by the goal. Really good work from Ryan to cut out one of Oxford's attacks. And then he gives it to Barr, who goes one-on-one with their poor left back. And it was Barr and oceans of space to get into. And there was only going to be one winner. He's just been so good this season. That's another assist. We know he's quite raw. There was a moment against Swansea when he was at an angle and he took a shot. Maybe he could have passed, but we've got to remember he's still so young. But I thought he did. I don't think it was his best game against Oxford, but in the decisive moment, he played the key pass back to Bayo, who got the goal. But yeah, he's been so good. And I just think after that goal, we didn't stop. It was similar kind of to Sheffield Wednesday's minus the 5 goals, but we kept on attacking. Again, when you're in the ground, you're just in the moment. But when you watch it back, we were going for it, trying to get that second. Giorgi turned into he was absolutely purring, which I want to touch on in a bit. But we had loads of good chances, and yeah, it was a really, really good second half performance. And we should have won 2 or 3-0. To be honest, it was a classic Watford to get us a bit nervous going into the last 10 minutes.
That was my biggest frustration, Sam, with the second half. I mean, how we didn't kill that game, I will never know. Bayo had a really good chance to score. I think that kind of teased me up, Jack, to say what other player would have scored that, Jack, in your opinion?
I think he got an assist as well from a long throw this weekend. But Raj in the 6-yard box.
No.
Hey, so Raj, just for people who don't know, Jack, Raj is
Mileta Rajovic.
Yeah.
He would have scored it. He would have scored it. We were saying this on Friday night that Bayo, his first instinct when the ball is at his feet is shoot, and he could really do with, not that I'm any good at football, and I probably shouldn't be giving my hero shooting advice, but he strikes me as the kind of player that could really do with just taking that split second to think about what he's doing. But he really looks like he's enjoying himself. There's a lot less throwing his arms around in the air and moaning, and he's putting himself about more. I think as a hold-up striker, we know that that's probably not one of his strongest skills, and his first touch is definitely not great, but it's starting to land for him. And he's really applying himself. And I think, if we can get 15 goals out of him this season, I'm not going to say the P word this early, but I think that would be a very, very good step in the right direction.
15 goals, all comps or just league?
Just league.
Okay, so
what
he's on.
comps do you think we are in Europe?
I think
I'm spoken Friday night as well.
Swansea counts. We got Cardiff soon as well.
Oh, God, every time. I'm just desperate to see us in Europe. Look, Bayo at this moment in time is on 6 league goals, obviously 4 in one game against Sheffield Wednesday. Only a good thing that he's got another one, Charlie. But I guess probably the most pleasing aspect for me with Bayo is I've had issues with him before that he wasn't in the right position to take the opportunities. And actually recently, whether that's the service he's getting is better or whether that's his movement being a bit better, he is getting opportunities. He should have had 2 on Friday. He made a little bit of a meal of the first one, in fairness. It was a good save. But Bayo's, is it too early to say he's hitting a little bit of form? Because that's 5 league goals in 3 games now.
Yeah, I don't think it was his best game again on Friday. But I think that's one thing that you can say is an improvement. He's getting in the right areas, because we've seen so many times where we've had balls flashing across the box, good crosses, and just no one there. So the fact that he's been there, he was there against Sheffield Wednesday at the key times as well. So fair play to him. And I really admired him on full time running over to the audio station to play Bio's on fire so he could have the celebration and taking the applause from the rookery. But look, you can see how much he's enjoying his football. So fair play to him. And yeah, you can't beat a bit of the Crow, can you?
He can't be a bit of the Crow. Great work from Bar. Bio found a way, as Watford did on the night. But also I wanted to shout out Ryan Andrews in that move, Jack, because it was his ball initially that was forward thinking. It was instinctive and got Bar up the pitch and got Watford up the pitch. And he did that with the loser. A beautiful pass that he played through to Ebosele. That came from Ryan. Sort of, I know people are going to kill me for this, the pre-assist sort of pass. But it's an interesting one with the wing-back dynamic, Jack. Talk to me about that, because Ebosele moved out to the left-hand side, which I didn't really expect. But Ryan starts the week out of the squad. Midweek, he's on the bench, and then he starts on Friday. So is that cleverly using his squad properly? But number 2, showing the depth we do have at wing-back.
Yeah, I think it's both of those. And also it's a nod to Clevs giving our young players an opportunity. Same thing applies to Morris. I think that, Andrews had arguably a couple of not great performances. You've got to remember he's still young and he's incredibly talented. And nice to see him back again playing with confidence. He's another one that is a massive confidence player. And when he's playing those searching forward balls, or when he gets the ball at his feet and he runs with it, there was a moment where he brought the ball down with his chest, and I was just like, "Oh, you're good at football." And yeah, really nice to watch. And I think this whole thing about using the fullbacks, and obviously they're running more than anyone. We're going to have to rotate between them. Larouci's an interesting one, and I've not decided how I feel about him, because sometimes he looks unreal and other times he just looks lazy. But yeah, I think I'm looking forward to seeing how we use our fullbacks through the rest of the season, because obviously Ebosele is the fastest player in Europe. Andrews call up to the England development squad again, I want to say. Yeah. So in a good place.
On Larouci, I mean, I'm going to put out there, lads, I think he was a lucky boy at the end. I think he was a lucky boy. And I'll tell you for why. Outside the box, he's holding his man, but it continues into the box. And you've seen plenty of EFL referees, Charlie, give that as a penalty. I have to say, it was a bit of a disaster class from Larouci when he came on. He gave the ball away. He was out of position. It was sort of like, when you're looking to see out the game, he's probably not the man you want to bring on. When you're chasing the game, he is the man to bring on. Did you think he was lucky, or is that me overthinking it?
Yeah, no, I thought he struggled. I thought he looked really uncomfortable. I thought Swansea, he was really, really bad as well in a 4. Whenever the ball was kind of on that left side, he was just nowhere to be seen as the left back position. I do think there's a bit of an issue in terms of that left wing back slot, because Larouci, we've seen he can be good, especially that Leeds game. He looked really, really good going forwards. But defensively, I don't think he's good enough. Sema, is he a wing back? I'm not too sure. And I think Ebosele, we took a bit out of his game by playing him at left back. And I think, to be fair, looking at Ebosele, the way he went off the pitch, he was struggling to walk. So I don't know if he's going to be able to play for Ireland. I think he could be out for a while. So I do think that left wing back spot is a bit of a problem area for us. But hey, maybe we'll see going forward. Maybe Ebosele needs to get more minutes there, and he could get more comfortable, and he could be, because I know he played there for Udinese as well. But yeah, Larouci really uncomfortable, kind of showing. Just thank God that we were kind of able to clear our lines and we didn't have one of those last-minute heartbreaks.
Yeah, as Ian says, thought the ref had used up all his bad decisions before the Larouci incident. It was Anthony Backhouse, the referee on Friday night. Probably less said about him, the better. It does mean, however, though, Jack, Tom Cleverley is not going to be on the touchline for the Plymouth game after picking up another yellow cards. Which, how much do you read into that, Jack? Are you someone who thinks it does make a massive difference having the manager on the sideline, or are you someone who thinks he's getting a cracking view of proceedings against Plymouth? So come half time, we'll know exactly what to say.
I can't think off the top of my head of a game where a manager has been serving a touchline ban, or hasn't been in the stadium, or has chosen off their own volition to go and sit in the stands that have won. And the
Nuno's just been out for 3 games and they won all 3 at Forest.
Well, there we go. So maybe that's the answer. I'm very skeptical about Plymouth because Andre Gray's inevitably going to score, which I'm really nervous about. But no, actually, and again, feeding into the conversation about Robbo, I think actually with Clevs out suspended. And by the way, that yellow card, for those that didn't see it, he was booked for protesting. I think it was James Morris's challenge, wasn't it? Where James Morris won 100% of the ball, 0% of the man, and the referee's given a foul. And Clevs, quite rightly, was absolutely furious.
That's one of the worst. I'm going to go as far as to say that's one of the worst decisions I've actually ever seen. That's
were you at the
yellow?
Were you at the Reading Ghost goal game?
I was there.
That's the worst.
It didn't happen the other week at Newport. It's happened again, isn't it? Oh, sorry, it happened again. I watched too much football. That's what you lads just looked at me there. You didn't even say anything. You just thought, oh, God, get a life check.
Was probably the ref for it anyway.
There was just a couple of individuals before I give Charlie the opportunity to talk about our Georgian superstar. A couple of stats for James Morris. Charlie, I'm going to nab them from you just to show his performances. As the guys mentioned, at left centre-back, passes into the final third. He made 8, which was the first for Watford. He was top for defensive actions for Watford with 13. He made completed 4 out of his 4 tackles, which was the most, joint most in the game. And interceptions, he made 2nd. Which is the top for Watford as well. Jack, James Morris is one that probably one of the stories of the season so far in the 14 games for Watford, because as I said, he's converted from a fullback to a left centre-back. A lot of people were sceptical about maybe his physical attributes, and I think James will mention he's obviously not the tallest of guys to be a centre-back. He's also not the quickest, but what he has got, and this is why I love players like James Morris, he's got a brain and he uses it. He knows when to drop off his man. He knows when to play the right pass. How impressed have you been with the sort of evolution of James Morris? Because he's gone from under-23 football, being released by Southampton, under-23 football, being a bit part player, coming on the FA Cup, to actually becoming a really important part of this Watford squad.
I think we're very lucky to have him. Was it last season at Norwich 1-0?
Yes.
When Leo Gaspar played centre mid? Yes. I thought he had a phenomenal game there, and I rated him for a while. And I think this season we're really starting to see him come into his own. As you said, his ability to adapt to his new position so quickly and look so comfortable. Against Leeds, he was immense. He was really strong, and he's never, Porteous, you'll find him out of position quite a lot. He'll go flying in for rash challenges. James Morris is Mr. Dependable. He's almost the antidote to Ryan Porteous. And I enjoy watching. My one frustration with him, and I don't know if you guys felt the same, but I want to see him be a bit braver on the ball and carry the ball forward a little bit more. I don't know if it fits in with the wider process, but there are a couple of times where I think at least people around me were getting a bit frustrated where he was going back when there were potentially passes on looking forward. So I would love to see him, when he has the ball at his feet, take it forward a little bit more, but defensively, rock.
Charlie, anything to add on James? And also Rocco Vatto, I know you wanted to mention as well in terms of his impact.
Yeah, no, I just thought James was really, really steady. And I think his biggest strengths, I've said it before, is his passing. He's really cool and kind of that line-breaking passing to our key players. A shout-out to Harry Welch as well, if he's watching. I know he's a big James Morris fan. So, yeah, I'm going to show an example in a clip in a bit of kind of Morris's strengths. But he hasn't played in a few games recently, has he? And I think he's a bit hard done by because, again, I keep saying it, whenever he played, I don't think he does much wrong. He knows his limits. He gives it his all. And I think he's become like a really valued member of the squad. So fair play to Jim.
Absolutely. And also you can't underestimate, I think, when a player who's playing next to a player has a really good connection. And I know for a fact, as we all do, that Matty Pollock and James Morris are pretty much BFFs at Watford. And that can only help. I mean, having a relationship with a guy who knows you inside out. I also think the beauty of those three, maybe less so Porteous, so I thought had a good game actually, actually, there's always something. He had that sort of Maradona turn, didn't he, in the first half? I'm like, Ryan, what are you doing there, mate? But it was one of Porteous's better performances. But I think one thing that you've always got to think about this Watford backline is whether it calms Bachmann down, because the last thing you want is rash decision making in the back three with Bachmann, who I think needs a bit of calmness in front of him. And I thought that's what the lads did, particularly Pollock in the air, who I thought was fantastic. He's been rewarded with a new contract. Charlie, just how much of a statement is that for Watford, tying someone down who was on the verge of leaving? He'd handed in a transfer request in January. He was in Belgium, about to move from Watford permanently. He was linked with a move back to Aberdeen. That's turning its head, and we're talking 10 months later, and he is probably one of the first names on the team sheet for every Watford fan now.
Give him the armband. It's only a matter of time. Outstanding, like we said a bit earlier. He's been our player of the season. He's played the most minutes of any Watford player this season, even after all those injuries. He wears his heart on his sleeve. No-nonsense defender. And at his young age, you can tell he's already a leader in the team. And try watching one of his interviews and see how many times he says, I watched it after the game and I counted. I think there was 12, 11 eyes up there. Obviously, he's a northern lad up around Middlesbrough way. So, yeah, great lad is Matty. I love having him at the club. Give him the armband and hopefully he can stay for those 5-year contract unless, who knows, he could get some interest from Premier League if he carries on at this trajectory. Captain material, Jack, do you think?
Relative to the current captain, yes. And by that I mean Bachmann, not Musa. I like Musa as well, and I think actually quite a few people have an agenda against him. The headbutt's stupid, but I'm sure he'll come back and repent for his sins. But yeah, natural leader, the way he comes over. I'm a bit of a sad case, and I like sitting and watching the warm-ups while everyone's enjoying their pre-match pints. And the way that Matty comes over and he gets all the fans, G'd up for it, you can tell. And he's the first to jog over after they've lined up in front of the Graham Taylor and come and clap the rookery. I've got a real soft spot for Matty Pollock, and I hope he sticks about for a very long time.
Charlie, I've got a real soft spot for Giorgi Chakvetadze. He is a man who is so good at football. I think we almost take for granted how good this guy is, and he should never be playing in the Championship, in my opinion. I mean, we're lucky to have him, but cleverly said it post-match. If he adds goals to his game, you're looking at a top 4 player. I did want to mention, I think he meant top 4 in the Premier League, not the Championship. But Charlie, Giorgi Chakvetadze, the floor is yours. Why is he a Championship cheat code?
Honestly, this was a masterclass. I didn't really realise watching how good he was, but I think that was just because we're so used to it with Giorgi. I'm just going to show some clips here from when he received the ball into where the ball ends up, and I've got some stats to back it up. You can see with this one, here he is here on the ball near the halfway line. I think James Morris has passed it to him. So he picks the ball up there and it ends up with Ryan having that shot on goal. I think this one is my favourite of the lot. Like we said about James Morris feeding that ball through to Giorgi. Oh no, it was James Morris to Loser to Giorgi. It was a first time pass from Loser, which was really nice. And again, look where Giorgi picks up the ball in his own half, absolutely miles away from goal. And this is where it ends up. He's on the edge of his D here. He does a lovely little back heel, and it falls to Edo Kayembe, who, how many times have we seen Edo score from that range? So the way he travels with the ball is absolutely sensational. Again, here we go, even further back here. I think it was from a corner he picks up the ball. He goes all the way around to this side of the pitch. He hasn't got a lot on, but not only is he an unbelievable dribbler, he can also pass, and he plays this amazing ball through to Bar. I think it was Bar and Ebasele who kind of got in each other's way, but again, a really good chance there. And again, this is kind of the final one. He's doing it on the left-hand side now. He drops the ball back to Rocco Vata, who completely air shots it here, but you can see how much of a great chance that was. And I think this is the final one. Picks up the ball and he thinks, I've had no luck giving it to other players. I'm going to have a shot myself. Great strike on goal. And it was a decent save from the keeper. But he's been absolutely unbelievable this season. For me, I think this is the best performance he's been in a Watford shirt. He had 11 progressive carries, which only Haji Wright and Liam Miller have had in more game this season. I think, let's have a look here. You can see the other stats of the game: chances created, crosses, dribbles, first for all of them, successful final third passes, shots on target. He was absolutely outstanding. He is our talisman. And then I looked at this game and I thought, what did it remind me of? It reminded me of the Luton game and João Pedro's performance. And then I looked at the progressive carries there. João Pedro had 6 in that game. Giorgi had 11 in this game. For me, it was his best performance in a Watford shirt. What do you two think?
Jack, I'll leave that one to you. Is it the best performance you've seen from him in a Watford shirt?
We've had so many good ones. I think for the amount of times you saw him bring the ball forward, and as Charlie said, like, stats are mental. I don't know if I put it down as the best purely because end product's obviously big part of it, but I think bigger picture, he's way too good for us. He's going to end up going to a bigger club at some point, hopefully for some really good money. And I hope that we will see him playing Champions League football at some point very, very soon. For now, that point that Clev's made about adding goals and assists to his game, the issue is that he's playing a different game to everyone else on the pitch. And you can see how frustrated he gets sometimes because Bayo isn't exactly where he wants him to be, or Bard doesn't quite get on the end of his pass. But I think as the season goes on, we're going to hopefully shift towards being able to not play around them. And I know Clev spoke in the week, didn't he, about not wanting everything just to go through Chakva and Bard. But I think hopefully, the more the time goes on, we're going to be able to find ways of really, really utilising him and not just having him running through teams like he did on Friday night.
Charlie, talk to me about what we've got on screen here. This is FB Ref. No, Stathead. Stathead, is it?
Yeah, no, Stathead, which is kind of from FB Ref. But again, I kind of talked about him in that game, but I just wanted to look at him overall in the season. Progressive carries, he's top in the Championship. Shot creating actions, what we spoke about. Again, all of his actions are leading to a good opportunity for Watford. Carries into the final third, he's top. Expected assists, which is interesting. So this is like what Jack said, are his teammates letting him down a bit. He's third in the Championship. He should have 4 assists. He's only got 3 at the moment. Third for key passes in the Championship. He's got the most through balls. And I think the stat that was most interesting for me was that progressive distance, which we kind of showed there. But if you look here, he's second for progressive distance in the Championship this season. But look at the players he's up against. They're all kind of deeper players, defenders, Stroik, Rodon, Jones, Coyle, Matt Grimes, all kind of starting from deep, getting on. And that just shows kind of his position in how deep he drops. And you can see from his heat map here, this is his heat map through his whole season. And I think you can really see where he does his best work. It's in this kind of corridor here where he could drop deep, especially here, and then do the damage here. He's so good to watch. He's so durable. And like I said a bit earlier on, if you look at his minutes as well, considering he's got he hasn't got the best injury record for Watford. You can see here, Matty Pollock's got the most minutes. Giorgi's got the second most of Ede Kambe. So he's playing all the time. I think we spoke about on Friday. It's one way I think we need to be looking after these players as well. Quadro Bar's another one, had big injury problems. I thought it was a good move for Clev's taking him off, but we need to look after these key players because I think if we lost them, we'd lose a lot. But Giorgi, absolutely outstanding the other night. I absolutely love him. We're not going to lose him in January. No one's going to pay 20 million for him, surely.
So what are we saying in terms of price for Giorgi Chakvetadze? He's obviously signed a long-term contract, but we all know how Gino works. He did the same with João Pedro when he gave him a contract midway through the season. Then he went to Brighton and we got a healthy sum in return. Jack, when you look at his contract situation, you look at the fact he's a starter for Georgia, who obviously aiming to get to the World Cup in 2026. He had a great Euros. He's been Watford's best player. In terms of technical quality, in terms of what he's providing going forward. At this moment in time, how much would... I think we can all agree he's going to leave at the end of the season, Giorgi. What price would you be happy with?
In my opinion, he's the best footballer in the Championship. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, he's the best footballer in the Championship. I would be upset. How much did Joao go for, just for context?
Let me find out.
30 mil, I think, or rising to 30.
And Asprilla?
Bit less, but rising to 25, I think.
Okay, I'd be disappointed with anything less than 30, and I think you'd want it to be around 35. But then again, I'd quite like us to be, if he was leaving, I'd hope that he would be leaving having taken us to the promised land. And I was thinking about it after we spoke, actually. Without Bar and Giorgi, what does this side look like? And the answer is it's a side with Fasti, Festi, Ebaselli, and not much other creative output. And so partially feeds into the reason why I reckon he should be as expensive in terms of money that we would need to come in to be able to replace him. But I'll stand by the comment. I reckon he's the best footballer in the Championship.
I agree. I think in terms of the level he's played at, Charlie, in terms of what he has shown this season, but you think, I always think with a Championship player, are they doing it for their country as well? And he did that all summer for Georgia. I mean, it was the best run for the country ever. Him and Kvaratskhelia are the two star boys. They're the two poster boys there. I mean, the fact is Watford's got him because he had an injury-ravaged career. We took a gamble and he's fit and now he's showing his quality and had a run in the team. I don't think there's another player that when he's at his best is near to him. That's my take.
I think Gustavo Harmer might have a say in that, but
does Harmer have like Harmer's a top player? I agree. He's a Premier League player, Harmer, but Harmer's a bottom half Premier League player. I think Giorgi's a top half Premier League player. I think that's the difference.
And Giorgi can win you a game on his own, I reckon, at this level. And he probably has done and will do throughout the season. His ability to, as you showed with the images, Charlie, he can pick the ball up outside RD, run it 70-odd yards, hopefully play that killer pass or just go on his own. And I think we're going to continue to see him go from strength to strength this season. So I'd have him over Harmer for sure.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's kind of detriment is his goals and assists. And I think he can do it. Like Millwall, we saw that free kick. He's got that quality. And I don't think he's missed too many sitters for us. He's definitely more creative. And you could tell on Friday when he was like laying it on a plate to Vata, it was like, after that, he was like, I just want to do it myself. He's an excellent player. I just think the fact we got him for 2 million, I think 20 million he would go. And I also think in the back of Gino's mind, he's got his replacement for him already in Rocco Vata, who I also think was really good when he came on. He had the most touches in the opposition's box of any player in the game. And what did he play? 20 minutes. So I think he's got an exciting future as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of business that. I remember when it happened in January, we tied him down to a 5-year deal. Everyone was like, why haven't we got a centre-back? And it's one that's aged really, really well for the football club. Giorgi Chakvetadze, deservedly man of the match. My not biggest issue, but I think we all agree here that it's just a case of him adding numbers to these games, whether that's goals, probably more goals for me rather than assists, because he gets into loads of good positions and passes to people, but maybe can release it a bit more at times. I also think that the situation you're getting into with Chakvetadze is he knows he's the best player in the team. I actually don't think he's playing at 100%. I know that sounds mental. I still don't think I think he's playing at 75%. I still think there's a couple of gears for Giorgi to go up to play his absolute best. I think in the Championship, because there's a bit more space, he's got a really good football IQ. He's got a good first touch. He doesn't need to be playing at 100% to be a really, really good player in this division. But I think it is a case, Jack, of him releasing the ball slightly earlier, taking more shots on, actually. He barely shoots for a player who gets in a lot of good positions.
Yeah, I think, again, it's part of the challenge of being so good and figuring out how that works within the rest of your team. The point about playing at 100% is an interesting one, because you're thinking about, okay, well, when are we going to see 100%? When are we going to see performances for 90 minutes similar to those that he put in the Euros? And you think, okay, well, big games, that's when everyone raises their level. The big games we've had so far, have we seen him play at 100%? Probably not. But I think, we've got plenty of very strong sides to come to Vicarage Road. We've got some tricky away games. And you'd like to think it's one of those where everyone raises their levels, and obviously that will then bring out the best in him. But even playing at 70%, I mean, he could coast around and he's still comfortably the best player on the pitch. Like, it's freakish. And we would say there's no one, I've never seen anyone play for Watford that carries the ball as competently and convincingly as he does. And I was thinking earlier, who is the equivalent that we've come up against that has terrorized us as much as he terrorizes other teams? And they're not very similar as players, but the only person I can think of is Bernardo Silva in terms of the way that he would carry the ball against us. And I just have nightmares about him being incredible. And obviously he only turned up against us.
We've had a few shouts here, by the way. We've had Bernardo Silva. People's been Mark said Gaza. I mentioned after Sam's review that Giorgi looks like Gaza when he breaks through midfield into the final third, and he wears the number 8. People are saying £20 million. How much would you value Giorgi Chakvetadze at this moment in time? He couldn't leave in January, could he, Charlie?
No, let's not sell him, Jesus. I feel like we do this every year.
we do. It's rinse and repeat, isn't it? That time of the year.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Do we have to give credit to Gino?
Yeah,
of course.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Is he a Moggy buyout client?
Slippery slope. This.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I know he was playing for Ghent beforehand, and I mean when he was coming through in the Dinamo Tbilisi sort of setup. I mean, anyway, point is, will he go in January? We hope not. I think he'll leave in the summer. But Jim says if we're in the Premier League, he stays. Have faith, lads. That might be one to look out for. Charlie's shaking his head. Having said that, Charlie, you were promoting the sort of Clev's PR. And if you look at the stats here, home games unbeaten at the start of their managerial careers. Arne Slot, 8. Ruben Amorim, 9. Thomas Tuchel, 11. Pep Guardiola, 11. Jurgen Klopp, 15 top. And just behind him is Tom Cleverley with 13 games unbeaten at the start of his managerial career. What a start at home for Watford. He's made it a fortress. I guess the next step really for Watford, though, Charlie, is that away form. As Jack mentioned, he's sceptical for Plymouth. There's some tricky trips coming up. Maybe not the best championship teams in this division, but places which are difficult to go to. It's that old cliche. And that's the case now? How do we solve that away form? Because that is the difference between us, I think, being in the playoffs and us maybe finishing 11th or 10th.
Yeah, I think we need to go unbeaten for our next 3 games and up until West Brom for Clevs to overtake Jurgen Klopp. And then I challenge anyone to find a manager who's had a better home start to their career than Tom Cleverley. For me, next steps, I mentioned it on Friday, and not necessarily obviously the away form, but I still think performance-wise, we need a real statement win. Whether it's against like a West Brom, they won again today away from home. Carlos Corberán, an excellent manager, but I still feel like our performances have been 6, 7s out of 10. We haven't completely blown anyone away. I think Stoke was maybe the most convincing, but I think if we are going to want to be playoff contenders, we need to put in performances that people go, wow, we were unbelievable today and really good value. So I'm looking at that West Brom game. Of course, I think a step before that is the away results. Can we be a lot more harder to beat, even if we have to draw away? Which, look, I prefer winning to drawing, but if we can get some draws away from home, that'll be a good next step. But I want to see like a statement victory from this Watford side for me to really, really get excited.
Jack, about the next sort of run of games, if we look at it, you mentioned you're not feeling particularly confident for Plymouth away. When you look at the run Watford's are going to have, if I can get it up here quickly, we obviously had Oxford, which was a must-win, I think, for us, considering where we are in the league. But then it's Plymouth away, Bristol City at home, QPR at home, and then Cardiff away and Hull away before, obviously, the Christmas period. You look at let's do the next 3, Plymouth away, and then Bristol City and QPR at home to wrap up November. What would be a good return for Watford out of those 3? Because I have to say, we are the favourites going into all 3 of those games.
I'd take 6 points. I want Clevs to keep his unbeaten home run. I bite your hand off for 6 now, but I'm not going down to Plymouth on the Friday night. I'll be watching it from Paris, but the away form needs sorting. So I'd really like to see us go there, do a job over Clev's old teammate, and Andre Gray. Oh, that'd be brilliant. And then you look at teams like Bristol City again, Tuesday night under the lights, and then QPR. I mean, they're on a horrific run of form, so inevitably we're going to kickstart their season, aren't we? But yeah, I take 6. But if we can go into that Christmas period, games against Cardiff away, who've obviously picked up some good form, Hull away, who they're in a bit of a mess at the moment, and then West Brom at home, Burnley away, and it's like, okay, now you're starting getting into, crunch fixtures with, top echelon rivals. I don't want to use the word, sorry.
No, it's true. I think you'll set Charlie off otherwise. I mean, it's an international break now for Watford, Charlie. We've finished the sort of block of fixtures like we did against Borough with a win going into the October one, a win going into the November international break. Again, I am looking ahead here, but I look at those run of fixtures, Charlie, going into Christmas. This does feel like the part of the season where Watford can really sort of firm up their position in the league, whether that's going to be in the playoffs or really sort of make a statement about our ambitions this season. Because I think last year we kind of fizzled out a little bit towards the start of the new year, and then a couple of, maybe the second half of the season, what I'm trying to say. We had QPR away, but we weren't great, and Val was struggling really to get a rhythm and a flow to the team. When you look at the next period now, did you feel this is quite a crucial part of the season for Watford?
I don't think crucial. I think if we were like P-word chasing team and like had those ambitions, remember how many people were saying we just wanted to stay up? Like, I think it's fair to say that we'll stay up comfortably this season. Please say I haven't jinxed that in a horrific way. But look, I'm looking at games. Bristol City is going to be really, really tough. They've had some excellent away results. They beat Norwich away. I think, who else did they beat away recently? Middlesbrough away, Preston away. So they're really good travellers. They're an up and down team. I think they've done a last Boxing Day, didn't they? Didn't they do a job on us with a convincing win? I really like Liam Manning as a manager. That's going to be a tough one. But yeah, let's just get through this block. If we could just, especially the home form, keeping it solid. And like you said, let's get to the new year after that FA Cup fixture. If we're still in that top 6, which I did predict that we would spend some time in at the start of the season. And then if you look at the fixtures ahead, who knows? It'd be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see in January how ambitious Gino is. Do you know what I mean? If we're going to have any transfer activity, but yeah, let's get through to the new year. Hopefully, we're still in good nick, because all it takes is 2 or 3 defeats, and it will be a crisis as per. But get through to January in good shape, and then we can have a conversation about what our aims are for the rest of the season.
I reckon it will be a couple of loans from Udinese in January, but that might be all it needs just to sort of tweak the squad. They're having a decent start to life in Serie A. Just a couple of comments to wrap up today. Thanks so much to everyone who watched, and a shout out to Jack for joining us twice in the space of 2 days. Guy says, Festi better on the right. Loser was my man of the match, which I really like that comment. Robin could see it. Signs of Festi and Delafay, the way Chakvetadze glides past players. Charlie says there's too much red heat in that corner flag area. Just on that heat map, very, very quickly, Lou Warren's made a fantastic point that the switch from Cleverley to move Kiembe into a more advanced position at the start of the second half was a masterstroke, because it moved the Oxford players towards him and allowed Giorgi a lot more space. And that's where you said the action there, Charlie, where he drove from the left-hand side. He had the space to do what Giorgi does best. I think that's where we're going to leave it. A bit of a heads up. Clev's ball. Charlie's writing the book as we speak, but an in-depth analysis video is coming soon here on the channel, so keep your eyes peeled for that. We will be back in the Mad Squirrel to do a post-match pint at some point very, very soon. We've, there was too many vibes, I think, too much vibes rather, on Friday night for all of us. We did have a couple of pints. We were enjoying life, but it was a Watford win. A second-half goal by Vacuum by sent Watford to 6th in the Championship table against Oxford United. Final thoughts, lads. Charlie, Jack, anything you want to mention before we leave? On this, Jack, Charlie's got to run. Jack, give us a line.
You see the arms? Yeah, that's all. That's all.
If you can't see us, we're doing the crow. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. Look after yourselves. Have a great rest of your Sunday night and a good week ahead. We'll be back at some point over the next couple of weeks. But stay tuned, and we will see you in the next one. Take care, and up the audits. You want.